organizations you represent must be equally responsible for realizing our aim. Synergy, collaboration, and working together may seem trite. It may seem universally true, almost an unremarkable call and statement. We may have known this all along, but knowing it for such a long time, all the more, give us reason to find the long-standing disenfranchisement or exclusion of indigenous people unacceptable. All the more, the collaboration of partners should have been done in the forlorn past. All the more, this partnership must be carried out now to a successful conclusion. Efforts to quell the deprivations of even the most basic and fundamental human rights among the indigenous communities are as old as our history as a nation. It is older than the campaign of benevolent assimilation and integration of the 1900s. It is older than the colonial Catholic Church campaign to Christianize the indigenous communities. After centuries of searching for a way to bring about equality, I will not say that there have been no successes, but the failures are disturbing. The inequality that still disenfranchises the various indigenous peoples persists today, found in the most brutal forms, such as development aggression, loss of territorial rights, and sources of livelihood. It comes in the form of inaccessibility to even the most basic modes of justice. Exclusion is a problem. For centuries of efforts as a nation, we simply have not done enough to bring about true equality among all Filipinos. It is for this reason, a long national history of small successes and dismal failures, that the persons who have conceptualized and drafted this project are beaming with excitement and hopefulness. I'd like to acknowledge at this point with deep admiration the efforts of the project development team led by the very energetic and dynamic Dean Chini Dandani. To inspire us in our day-to-day challenges in the Commission. And of course, I'd like to acknowledge the efforts, the leadership, the brilliance of the former chair, Purificacion Kisumbing, because the seeds of his project were planted during the last Commission. This project is genuinely groundbreaking because it is the first time that the issue of disenfranchisement of indigenous communities will be addressed through community development within a human rights framework, wherein the government collaboration from a myriad of key agencies is also an essential element. It is the first time that our vast compilations of social legislation, international treaties, and our social justice-based constitution will all be applied, not as abstract standards applicable to indigenous communities in general, but as specific as there are varied cultures among the different indigenous communities. The general human rights standards will be refined based on the varying needs of each community. The project as a whole is geared towards making all these broad standards actually work on the ground, dispensing with abstract rhetoric and focusing on realizing the standards within the individual community. I anticipate the pains and difficulties, trials and tribulations, the shortcomings and failures that will come our way in carrying out the project. It is in the failures that we have sought the lessons to be learned, the determination to overcome our failures, future and past. It is from the continuous struggle of the indigenous peoples, from their hardiness, that we find the strength to fulfill our mandate and find the path to success. It is from the experience of our partners from New Zealand, specifically the New Zealand Human Rights Commission, and we're very honored by the presence of its High Commissioner and her associate, the very warm, gracious, and brilliant lady, the Honorable Roslyn Yuma. And it is from New Zealand, whose own national history of overcoming the difficult challenges of ending division and inequality between the Pakeha, or the white New Zealander, and the Maori. They are accompanied by the mayor of Esperanza, Agusan del Sur, the Honorable Juanita Manipatinan. And there is here a representative of the Office of the Governor, and that is Mr. Esusino Ronquillo, the Provincial Administrator of the province. The Higaonon are one of the earliest settlers on the western side of the Agusan River. Their culture is steeped in tradition, employing a dato system and their own code of conduct. The third community selected is the Sama Dinawat, more commonly known as the Bajau, of the provinces of Sulu, Basilan, and Zamboanga, represented by Mr. Buhali Ajilani and Mr. Anthony Penafiel. We have invited the governor of Sulu, and he sends his regrets because of previous commitments, but he expressed his support, all-out support to the project. The Bajaus are a boat-dwelling people with ties to the ancient seafaring tribes of Southeast Asia. The objectives specific to our community partners would include, number one, to identify and investigate local human rights violations. Number two, verify, document, and monitor these violations. And, more importantly, advocate more effectively the realization of the community's human rights priorities, whether civil, political, economic, social, or cultural. These objectives are geared towards empowering the members of the community to promote and protect their human rights. The innovation of this project brings us the critical involvement of our government partners, particularly the NCIP, or the National Commission on Indigenous Peoples, represented here today, the PNP, represented by the Human Rights Officer, Colonel Lina Sarmiento, AFP, represented by the Human Rights Officer, Colonel Jose, and other officers from the AFP, and the local government units. We are honored by the presence of the USEC of the Department of Interior Local Government, USEC Gonzalez, and the local government units, especially the mayors and governors of the chosen municipalities and provinces. The premium placed on government involvement felt the difference in bringing institutionalized national policy into actual practice by effectively integrating human rights into the operations of the partner government units that directly affect the indigenous communities. We have other departments involved, like the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Agrarian Reform. It is through a partner